Shalom. I'm Rabbi Gail Schuster-Buskila, and today I'd like to talk to you about Parashat Vayera, about the Midrash that I have written, which is about compassion. I like to define my terms, so here in my Midrash I wrote, it is feeling sorry for someone else's suffering or pain which leads to the urge to help out. The only problem I have with this topic here is that in our Torah portion, we talk about Yahweh's compassion. And as I have glossed the word Yahweh, which is Yud He Vav He, one of the ancient names of the God of Israel, Elohim being another one. And if you're interested in this topic, there's a great lecture by Professor Shia J.D. Cohen about the names of God. So I don't know about God's compassion. I'm a Reconstructionist Jew, and I don't know if God actually has human feelings. I don't know if God reaches out to people. The ancients did, those that wrote the Bible, and the rabbis who wrote the Mishnah and the Torah and maybe the prayer books may have thought that. It's a little harder for me to accept. So I try to think of the qualities behind this to be able to discuss them properly. Now, here we are having a look at a compilation of some of the things that I have thought about in terms of compassion. So the first thing, of course, is trying to understand the word itself. I went to an example of divine compassion from the prophet Yoel in chapter 2, verse 18 and 9. It's written that Yahweh protected his land, which supposedly is the land of Israel, and had compassion for his people. In verse 19, we get a slight explanation for what this is. So that Yahweh answered and said to his people, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and you shall be satisfied with that. And I will not more make you a disgrace among the nations. Okay, providing sustenance, making sure you don't have a tough time when you're out in the world. Well, that's possible. I'm not sure, but that could be seen as the way the divine, or people saw the divine compassion. On the other hand, I'm not sure that really is enough for me. Those two don't seem very comprehensive. But then I was thinking of a word cloud, something that I have used over and over again. And when I when I went to look for one, I found, to my surprise, this beautiful word cloud that had a lot of the words and concepts that I would think are important when we talk about compassion. And you can see empathy and sympathy and passion. There are also some things that I hadn't even thought of. For example, the idea of interconnectedness. I thought of social meaning. I thought also of this idea of emotional suffering as well as physical suffering. So again, I think there's a whole range of ideas, and not just giving sustenance or protecting someone among the nations. This to me was not enough of an explanation. So then I had an idea in the Midrash, which I went to, and I saw that there was another example from the second book of Exodus, which is where Pharaoh's daughter sees Moshe floating on the Nile. And she has compassion for Moshe. The she here is Pharaoh's daughter. And she takes him, and she eventually takes him into her home, and she brings him up. In other words, there's an idea here, of course, of protection and sustenance, but everything that a parent is supposed to do is part of this. Now, if we are looking for an even better explanation, I would say that it would be from the book of Ruth. I would say that what Ruth says in the first chapter of the book of Ruth to Naomi, who has lost her husband and sons, who was Ruth's husband, one of them was Ruth's husband, is a clear explanation of the wide range of things that someone would do with compassion. But Ruth replied, "Do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not follow you. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die. There I will be buried. Thus and more may the Lord do to me, if anything but death parts me from you." To me, this is one of the most exquisite explanations of a compassionate person giving so many things, so much. And there's no question in my mind that it is a full statement with no question of how she was going to behave. When I do my midrashim, I always look for a visual clue, and my visual clue came in this picture of hands across the sky with an idea of grasping and holding on. We saw that, of course, with Pharaoh's daughter for Moses, for Ruth, and so maybe we can understand that to be divine compassion in some way. Or maybe we are the ones that have to show compassion, and we are the ones that have to reach out to others and to give of ourselves. Shabbat Shalom.